yo, what up, Good morning, GMG. Oh, yeah. Ooh, it is Monday, July 15th, 2020. Look at that. Another beautiful day to have a beautiful day. I got my co-host in the house. Oh, Seth, Mando. How you guys doing today? Are you muted, Ovi? You're muted. Oh, there we go.
Sorry,
What's up?
Eating my burrito bowl. I'm good. How you guys doing?
I'm doing great, man.
Fantastic. Doing fantastic. Mando, you look like you got a little change of background here going on.
Yeah, I'm on holiday. Is there a echo?
Nope.
Oh, for me there is.
You sound a little bit quiet though, I would say.
I think I have connected to my phone.
Yeah.
Oh, that may be it.
There we go. It was like double connected there for me. Let me see if I can fix this.
You're on vacation. That is nice.
Some things never change, eh?
Look at that. Big Daddy OSF with the burrito bowl back in business. I think I do hear it now, Mando. Check. Is it Ovi's luck? Because you know Ovi, how we used to always make fun of Mando's like technical difficulties, but he hasn't had some, and now you're back and he has one. I don't know.
Could be a bad omen.
Let me tell you something today, though. The Bulls are so back in town. You know, we never left. The Bulls never left, though. You know, a lot of Bullas definitely turned full bearish over the last few weeks. We know who you are. We have your names written down in the group chat. We're gonna hold you accountable down the line. But that's one thing for sure. So today on the show, today, we got Ovi back. So for sure, you know, with the boys, we're gonna talk some market today. Obviously, Friday evening was Trump's assassination attempt. So that was all over the timeline this weekend. So I'm assuming we're going to talk about, you know, some politics, though trying to not fall down politics slippery slope. Ovi, I saw you tweet that this weekend, but you know, it's like we can't not fall into it. It's like the main narrative for crypto is literally politics right now as well. So it's hard not to fall down that rabbit hole. So we're going to talk about it. Yeah, Mr. CPI is so funny. I didn't know about these nicknames. Mr. CPI. Anyway, so we'll talk about markets. We'll talk about the Bulls. We'll talk about how we're doing. We may talk a little bit about football, maybe. But I'm not sure because Ovi said that if England doesn't win, the whole golden bull market is in jeopardy. So I don't really want to bring this back up. Really scared me there. Though it was
we'll still have a bull market. It just won't be the golden bull run that.
So what, we have to wait for 2026.
Yeah.
Is that what we have to do?
The golden bull run is like a multi-year long bull run.
It's like 10 years long, right?
It's like lasts for a decade, yeah. Like imagine stocks from like 2010 to 2020. That would be like the golden bull run.
What's better? Insufferable English fans on the timeline for 2 years until the World Cup, or a golden bull run? Like what's like, or not getting it? I think I'm okay not getting the golden bull run and not having to hear about how it came home for 2 years.
Yeah, we would be pretty insufferable. I agree with that. So.
I'm biased though. I was cheering for you guys though. I just want to put down the record. When you guys scored that screamer, I was like, let's go. Anyways, so we'll talk markets and then we'll see what topics we have time to go on about. And we'll give out $100. So we'll pick someone, just retweet the spaces, follow us as usual, blah, blah, blah. And if you're live, and then the show will just give you $100. But anyways, without further ado, why don't we get right into it?
Who is the man, macro daddy of the land? Can you dig it?
Yeah, man. What a weekend. Like when we were on Friday, it felt as though, we had a little bit of a rally. And then when we reclaimed 60K for that weekly candle, we just ripped higher. So Bitcoin is sitting about 6 or 7% higher than where we were on the show on Friday. Solana's broken through 150, so it's at about 153. ETH. Interesting that they're all rallied about the same. So ETH, Sol, Bitcoin have all up around 5 to 6% today. They all kind of reacted similarly. Obviously, a few different things happening here, and it's difficult to work out what was the biggest thing. I think, firstly, markets are pricing in a very high degree of certainty now that Trump is going to win. So obviously we had that moment around the assassination attempt, and then after that, Bitcoin started to rally pretty hard. Bitcoin was hanging out around 60K in the hours shortly after that, and that was quite a key point of defense, I think, for liquidations, particularly for bears. We did break through that for the weekly candle kind of overnight. There were a few headlines over the last 24 hours which may have caused that. Firstly, there was a rumor that China may be looking to unban crypto in Q4. You had a lot of large accounts on this app, including Mike Novogratz, retweet that and say, this is a huge deal. Obviously, this has been rumored several different times, so let's see what actually happens. But that would be very bullish, I think, for the market. Obviously, Hong Kong has been good, but the ETF demand kind of shows you that it's still kind of small compared to the absolutely huge interest there is in mainland China, given that's where all the miners have been for so many years in Bitcoin. And then you had a couple more headlines. So you had number one, which was Russia. Russia is now looking to integrate crypto into its stock exchange, which I thought was quite wild. So they've been saying that for the last few months, that because of all the dollar sanctions they've been under, that they were going to try and integrate stable coins a lot more. And now they're going to look to allow crypto trading on the Moscow stock index, as well as more integrations into the general financial infrastructure around Russia, which I think is very interesting. We're starting to see stable coins being used in lieu of the dollar. And then thirdly, you saw that the ruling party of South Korea, which has been relatively pro crypto, has come out and said they're probably going to delay the capital gains tax on crypto until 2028.
Yeah.
So you're talking about three four if you include the Trump headline, but pretty much around the world, very, very bullish headlines for crypto. South Korea is obviously one of the highest, has one of the highest rates of adoption of crypto. Russia's obviously has a very high adoption of crypto. Mainland China being brought into the fold would be huge. And then you have obviously the idea of the Trump pump, meaning that crypto gets a better adoption throughout the US. So yeah, just a very, very bullish spate of headlines there over the weekend. You saw the majors actually did some of the best, like being up 5 to 6%. Again, meme coins have been relatively, I would say, mixed. You've had Mog and PopCap, which we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. They've generally been the strongest two. And then Pepe and Whiff have slightly underperformed. But you saw, this is still like, this is something to pay note of. And I put this in a group chat of some of the boys over the weekend, is that these charts of top 100s, and I've been doing this for 6 months now, they are now largely altcoins. And they were, particularly if you look back over the last 2 weeks, over the top 300, let's say, because top 100s, there's not that many meme coins in the top 300, but there are in the top 300.
There you go.
I guess Billy's in there, but a lot of these are now altcoins. Yeah, a lot of these are now altcoins, and that's been a change from it being almost entirely meme coins. Is that this rally? You've actually started to see it be pretty broadly across most altcoins, and that's where a lot of people are reaching their back to like deploy some capital. Looks like a lot of altcoins are up like 60-70% now from their lows, and they're still down a ton. Like the charts look horrific, but they are bouncing from a very, very low level. So yeah, it's an interesting part of the market here, in that you're seeing altcoins kind of match some of the moves, at least in meme coins, but a very, very strong broader macro picture. You've seen stocks obviously go higher again on the back of this. Again, that would be mainly pricing in the idea that I think that Trump is going to come in, and that markets I think I've been pricing that in more and more for the last few weeks as part of the reason for the rally. So just a very, very strong week. This week, we don't actually have that much. We have the Fed is going to, I think Jerome Powell's actually talking today, but after the print on Friday for CPI, I think it's kind of expected that we're going to see rate cuts. It's now more of a question of how many. I think the consensus is 2, but we could have 1 or 3. But let's see how that goes. And I think we have the ECB decision later in the week and some retail sales, but nothing huge this week in terms of macro. It will mainly be a little bit quiet. I think we have one more Fed for the summer, and then we're kind of done.
Okay, that's okay. That's good, Mr. CPI. I mean, there's no more CPIs, PPIs, and all that shit is ahead of us, is there?
Well, until next month.
For a little bit.
Yeah,
For a little bit.
Yeah.
It feels like that's all we talked about the last like 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks. Is like, oh, Powell, FOMC, no rate cuts, this, that, dovish, hovish, movish, billish, moggish, whatever it is. It's just it was a lot of it was like heavy macro. Like I feel like everybody was just trying to make an excuse to why the market was not doing that great, but we couldn't because like the trad market was like doing incredible while crypto was just like performing like trash. So everyone and their mothers was on timeline trying to figure it out. Why, like, oh no, there's enough jobs being created. That's why Bitcoin's down like 20%.
but Germany just finished selling. That was the other headline. Obviously, Germany finished selling.
They're done.
Finally, they're done. And we ripped as soon as
people need to stop sending in coins though.
It was the whole thing was literally on a plate. It was on a fucking plate, and all you had to do was like, oh, big technical selling from German government. They had this much to go. Once it's done, we should rally. It was like this technical selling from the German government in a backdrop of some of the most extremely positive headlines I've ever seen for crypto, especially the Trump stuff, which I think is the biggest thing right now. So I'm just like, this is, I mean, I'm so deep in anyway, like I didn't buy more, but if I was sidelined, I would absolutely be buying as much as I could in the last 2 weeks. And the most bizarre thing to me is just reading the timeline and people being like, we've lost the 55K level. Now there's no, there's only air till 41K and all these like chart guys getting super bearish at 55K. And lo and behold, they're all max bullish today at like 63K. And it's just like, are you guys like dumb? Like, I don't know, for lack of a better term, I'm sorry, but like it is as simple as German government selling, done selling, super positive headlines coming up, including hopefully the launch of the ETH ETF this week. So it was just, to me, was one of those moments where I was like, man, this is just one of the like easiest like layups ever. And I'm just watching person after person after person, people who've been around in crypto since 2017, 2015, 2014, whatever however long they've been, and just fumble it, like generational fumbles. And a lot of these people are still sidelined, by the way. They're still sidelined from those levels. And I'm thinking, man, if you sold at 55K and you've been sidelined on this move on the way up, and you just had that Trump stuff over the weekend, and if you do get an ETH ETF this week, you must be like, I don't know how you stay sidelined here. Like, unless you're inherently bearish on everything, if you just sold just because of charts, you're in a very, very tough position right now. It's a very tough position to stand here and watch.
I think it's really good to break down actually, because I don't think it's necessarily, it sounds really smart. Like if we break 60K, we'll go higher. If we go down 50K, it sounds alluring in that like, you don't have to do anything yet. Like just chill, wait until if we go above 60K, you can be bullish. The issue about this is that crypto is very violent. And you also get these, if you're a chartist, you get these like deviations where fake breakouts or fake drops below resistance, right? So when it hit 60K, like it did Sunday night, right? It then just like gaps so aggressively away from where you can even get in. So your concept of, right, I need to get in, you probably have a fraction of a second. And in that exact moment, it could also be a fake breakout, of which case, like when it's hanging out at 60.5K, right? Are you meant to buy it there? Or is that a fake breakout, which you could get hurt on? And then now it goes to 63.5K. I'm telling you, the same people will be saying, wait for the retest of 60K, or like, wait until we hit 70K and then you're meant to buy it. I guess what I'm trying to say is you need to be unbelievably quick if you're going to be a chartist in crypto, because the periods of gains are so violent. But look at the last 12 months in crypto. Bitcoin moved aggressively higher in a period, and you didn't have time to catch it in that period right? There was no way you could catch it in that period if you were a Chartist. It just broke out and then it's kept going. And if you weren't quick enough, or if you were waiting for a retest, you got screwed. Now, this could very easily be the same sort of deal. Like you're gonna sit there and go like, right, I need to wait for the pullback to get back in.
Yeah, of course.
And they could just keep going.
I mean, that's what happens from 35 to 6 to 70 to all-time high. Like 35K,
Right, exactly.
everybody was calling for it to be slapped down in 20s, and then it ran to all-time high, and then it was 40s to all-time high, and we were sidelined.
So then as Obi said, you're sitting there, having been given a 54 or 55K entry, let's say, and you waited until it was confirmed at 60K being broken, right? You wait for that. And that isn't confirmed even on the first breakthrough. You have to wait for like a retest. But then that retest never happens and it just keeps going higher. It's just dumb. It's just like you think you've done something smart and actually your logic just doesn't hold when you try and apply it.
Look, we've had the SEC head of crypto stepping down, SEC withdrawing from the Ethereum 2.0 investigation. You have the ETH ETF coming this week. You have an unequivocal Trump support for crypto. Trump speaking at Bitcoin conference at the end of this month. And on top of that, you have very likely rate cuts given the data that we've had. And these are all undoubtedly very positive catalysts that will see us through until at least the elections, if not the end of the year. So, like I said, if you're not bearish here and you sold just because of charts, you're in a very tough position where every potential headline and catalyst is extremely, extremely positive. And we're at levels right now where we're not at all-time highs. We're still off all-time highs, right?
Yeah.
And sentiment's really low, right? We're at fear on the fear and greed index.
It's true.
Right? It's the lowest sentiment indices
It's still
since
quite low,
January 2023.
It's still quite low.
Right? That is crazy.
Look at this. It's still not
look at that.
Where it is now. It's
and
here.
we're 10% from all-time high.
Dude, usually and let's say this was a coin.
You're 10% from all-time high and it's there.
Yeah. 10% went from all-time high. I mean, and look at Ethereum. I mean, even the other now it's not just like, Bitcoin did really well, but even ETH is looking to go back to push towards zero highs. Solana is looking great too. Like even the majors at this point are looking good. And you were pointing out that a lot of the alts are starting to slowly like speed up as well. Another point to like what you guys are saying, how much lower did people expect things to go? Like alts already down 80%. What, they're going down another 100%? It's like at some point, it's like how much beating can the whole market take? So I find it interesting when I see, everybody start freaking out and losing their minds over just, the little things. But anyways, there's not many bulls left out there. There's not many bulls left out there. Not the traders, at least.
That's amazing.
I love that. I love it. It's so much fun. I think it's great. And OSF came back just to shit on the TA guys, and I'm here for it.
Honestly, when you asked me, I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna come back to shit the TA guys. Like I just need to do it in as many different like formats as I could.
So let's go into the next format of how you can shit on the TA guys. I don't think the TA guys expected what happened on Friday evening. I mean, boys, let's talk about that for a minute, because obviously like, we have no show on the weekend. Fuck.
Yeah.
What the hell? Like, it was late as well here, and then this whole thing happens. This is insane.
It is insane. I think we're not political analysts, so like
no,
the
we're
idea
not.
that we're gonna give some like crazy stuff there, but I think it is insane. I was living in the world, right, that where would have Bitcoin have gone if, like, God forbid, Trump had been assassinated?
I don't want to imagine that. That's terrifying.
Like, what is the candle then? Like, I was trying to think about myself, because if that happens, it just feels as though the sentiment in the US it's just like it could catch flame at any moment, right? Like, it just feels that at the moment. If that had happened, it could have gotten really bad. I think really, really bad. I think you could have had a wick. We could have hit like I don't want to say we could have gone below 20K, in my opinion.
Wait, you think that if Trump
You know,
would have been shot dead on Friday night, Bitcoin would have 20K?
I think it would have been pretty bad. Civil
Whoa.
war, man. It would have been a complete it would have been a complete shit show in America. I think.
Damn.
I
Complete
think,
shit
I
show.
think in a wick for sure. Like, because you're really, I think you could have seen the level of violence that could have broken out in the US could have been teetering on the point of questioning about the US, right? And that, although a lot of people have pointed to that being like a very bullish outcome for crypto in general, you know, like Bitcoin is decentralized, so it's not tied to any state. I do think I did wake up and just think, wow, like imagine if you'd had any leverage or if you'd had any sort of risk that could have exploded on a move like that. And it's something to be aware of. Like if you might think that like you could never get liquidated, but a move that is the sort of move that I think would have liquidated every single person in the entire market. Like in my opinion. So that just got me like crap.
That's
like
scary.
That. I mean, think about what happened with Iran, right? Like the Iran-Israel thing. We dropped like a stone.
Yeah. Now Solana nearly went under 100 when that happened.
Right. Now imagine Trump gets shot and you start to see uprisings across the US. And like very serious uprisings. I think it could have gotten really mental.
Yeah. I mean, that is really scary. I mean, what are your thoughts here? I mean, first of all, like this is just batshit crazy that we're back at living in a day and age, like, because we didn't really live the JFK era and like those things, right? Obviously, we weren't born, but like you only studied this stuff in like history class at school and shit. You're back living in the era when there was an assassination attempt on the ex-president of the United States of America and running favorite candidate of the next election, or current election. It's a pretty scary thought when you take a step back and think about it this way, right?
It is. I mean, I don't think we've seen anything like this in the Western world, if you like, in our lifetimes, really, have we? Like something to
Reagan was, yeah, I guess. I mean, you were born then. Maybe you're.
I don't think
Reagan president.
No, I think Reagan was before me,
I don't
right?
think you were born, bro.
Yeah, but it was his second term, I think, right?
Bro, Reagan was 81 to 89.
Yeah, I was born in 89.
Obi was born in 89.
I was born in 94. I'm a baby, so yeah.
But yeah, something to that extreme. Maybe you had stuff in like other countries, but Eastern Europe and all that stuff. But like nothing where it's like, oh, the USA presidential elections is like full on. This wasn't just like we heard a gunshot and everyone went down and Trump got evacuated. This is a full on like shot at his head.
Who tilted his head? You saw the video when he tilted his head?
Yeah, it's like it's mental, and it's like you were literally like a hairline away from just absolute chaos, which is mad to think. I don't know. Like there's obviously like all these thoughts about whether it was staged or real. Or for me, it was real. I don't think it's staged.
I don't want to get into that. Yeah,
yeah,
it's definitely real.
I mean, yeah,
but
exactly.
come on, this is
but
like
it's just like whatever it is,
like wet dream. Right.
No,
Cowley's big into conspiracy theories.
Cowley,
oh my god, he woke up on Saturday.
You guys want to send the
guy? It was like an RSS feed of like QAnon crap on my in our WhatsApp group on Saturday. Like insane amounts of conspiracy theories going.
Don't bring Cowley on Fomo Hour right now. We're gonna be put in the same basket as an Alex Jones show.
Exactly. If you're even slightly into conspiracy theories, like you've basically got the next 5 years free. You know, like you've got whatever you want.
Text each other about like conspiracies. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
They're really into that stuff. Look, the question was like not whether they planned this or not. The question was like who did that, right? Like why was the reaction so slow on the Secret Service front and everything? One thing's for sure is the secret was fucking shit. Like that's, I think we can all agree. Without you saw these threads from like ex snipers or ex like defense professionals, and like, dude, this is like the tallest building closest to it, and there's nobody on it. You know what I mean? So I don't want to get into the conspiracy side of things, but I wanted to, the first reaction of crypto at my first was which coins are we buying and why this is good for my bags. And so I think that it's relevant to talk about it on the show because you said the counter argument is like if the shot wasn't missed, the market would have looked different this morning. And I think you're right. Right? Because the market responded the other way, to Trump standing up. And arguably that's one of the most iconic shots of this decade. The one with the American flag.
Iconic.
Like the guy that shot that, like shot the shot of his life. I mean, this is absolutely like this is next level. The immediate reaction though on the market, the first thing I opened was this to see how the Polyfi. I mean, Tyler did. It would have loved that on the show this morning. I mean, the immediate reaction was this. It was like a 30% candle on Trump coin.
For literally the day before, you and I were talking about buying Trump. And I was like, I can't be bothered to like.
Was
it
like
money on blast? I was like, I'm too lazy to do it, and I just didn't do it. And I saw that, I was like, damn.
It was either the day before Ovi or the same morning. You and I were like, damn, like, okay,
it was literally the day before. It was like, it was trading at like 5 or something, like 5.5 or something like that.
Dude, that's wild. We're like, okay, well, what are the ETH coins that are going to turbo pump? Obviously, MOG. We can't get more bullish, and we already are on MOG. And it's like, well, what else, right? Like, what else? Like, okay, we get it. Pepe MOG. Like, what else? Well, Trump, right? And then obviously, I didn't make a move. Though I bought quite a significant amount of MOG on Thursday night instead of Trump, which pretty much worked out in my favor. But it's, MOG up 30%, and then you have WIF moving like 0.2%. So it's not bad. That's the meme. Aside from that, though, looks like coins are doing pretty good. I mean, Ovi, I want to ask you here, how do you feel about ETF week this week? I mean, you're a big ETH guy here. This is the week. Nick Geraci went, made a call. He doesn't usually make those calls, but he said, I'm making the call. This is the ETH ETF week. He posted that. How do you feel about that, given that last week was like, what, the biggest week for Bitcoin? Well, one of them, $1 billion in inflows. What's your outlook this week, given ETH ETFs, and what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, first, I really like Nate Geraci a lot. Like compared to some of the other Bloomberg analysts and commentators, he doesn't really like hedge his commentary. He's just like, I think we're going to get an ETH ETF this week. I'm sticking my neck out and saying that. He also said, I think the ETH ETF gets approved when everyone else didn't. So he's pretty, like he's not always going to be right, obviously, but at least he, presents a real opinion and a real view. And so his view is that we see something this week. His reasoning is that all the hurdles have now been crossed, and there's no reason why there should be any delay, given all the filings we saw at the end of last week. So fingers crossed, hopefully we see it this week. There's been not a huge amount of communication from the SEC. And remember, this is another thing that Nate said. Remember how they cocked it up last time? Remember how there was the SEC account got hacked and there was like a fake tweet about it being approved and stuff? Like they've obviously come under the cosh a lot for that, and they've had to reevaluate the way they communicate these things to the market. So I think they're very light on communication until things are absolutely done. And even then, I think they'll continue to be light. So it's one of those things like we're not going to see any of the telltale signs that we saw for Bitcoin. But then one day it's going to be like, cool, this is all done. We're good to go and we're good to roll out. So his view is that we see it this week. I'm not really sure. I don't have a strong view as to whether it's this week or next week, but it does feel like it's very, very soon. This week would be good timing given the market bounce and given all the Germany Bitcoin selling that's all been done and the technical overhang that we've passed. So it feels like the momentum would be on our side for it to come this week. And then we'll see. So
yeah, well, how do you feel about the inflows into the ETH ETFs? On the bear side, they were like, "Oh, look at what happened to Bitcoin; it's become institutional coin." And there was remember it was like sell the news event in the end, and then obviously then we saw quite a huge rise back to all-time high within a couple of weeks. How do you feel about the ETH inflows? Personally speaking, I think everybody's wrong because consensus that it's going to be low, so therefore I'll take the other side. But what do you?
I think everyone says, look what happened to Bitcoin ETF. It's like, okay, but Bitcoin moved from 40K to 63K to 70K after the ETF. So it's had a positive impact on the price. Sure, the technicals, the dynamics of the market have changed, but I think overall it's been positive for it. And so I think you could and should see a similar thing for ETH. And I think we run it back on ETH, to be honest with you. Like maybe initially we'll see whether the inflows are good or bad. Like even for Bitcoin, the initial inflows weren't insane. They weren't incredible. They were just like decent, but they weren't like blowout numbers. I think it was something like 2 billion on the first day across all the ETFs, and people were hoping that BlackRock alone would be close to that magnitude. So it's one of those things where like you maybe don't see the initial impact on day one, but as the inflows build up and as supply gets taken off the market, it all adds up, and it does end up being positive. And I think it will be positive for ETH. And the big thing there for me is just like, it's clear that BlackRock is supportive and bullish on ETH. They have their $100 million tokenized fund on Ethereum. Larry Fink has publicly stated in interviews that he likes Ethereum. So I think they'll be pitching it pretty hard. And remember, just as we saw with Bitcoin, these guys are incentivized to go out there and sell this thing because the fees they're making are so much larger and bigger than they are on any of their other ETF products. So they're going to be selling this thing like mad. And the other thing is like, if you're a normie and you saw the move from Bitcoin ETFs from like whatever 40K to 70K, you're like, damn, I missed that. But now you may feel like you have the chance to run it back on ETH. It's like, cool, I missed the move on Bitcoin. Can I do the same move on ETH? And you can bet that all the ETF funds selling this stuff are going to be making that argument. They're going to be like, this is what happened with Bitcoin.
Mhm.
We're expecting maybe not the same amount of flows on ETH, but the market cap of ETH is a lot lower than the market cap of Bitcoin. And this should be a higher beta version of that. So I agree. I think the expectations for flows are actually pretty low. I actually even think the flows will be not that great either, but everyone thinks that. And I think the surprise is not really to the downside. I think the surprise is to the upside.
No, I totally agree with you. I mean, here, if you look on I was just on the map. If you look on chart, this is where the Bitcoin ETF was approved. And like you see Jan 10th pump, then this is this dump that people are like, oh my God, it's selling news that you're laughing at right now. And this is what it went shortly after. Like, you know what I mean? Like, look at that. This was approval. This was a slight dump after it. And because, you know, there was GBTC like being sold like crazy every day. And then this is what came shortly after. Since then, and this is a post that just came out during the show, July 15th update. This is how much Bitcoin have been added by the ETFs. BlackRock has acquired 316,000 Bitcoins.
Yeah, I mean,
that's just BlackRock.
The year-to-date flows on Bitcoin ETFs, I think, have now surpassed $15 billion.
You have them on DGens, right? The year-to-date.
Yeah, and that's the high. That's the year-to-date high. So we're at the highs for that. And I know we've spoken a lot about like basis trading and are all these flows net increases in Bitcoin risk. I do think the last week was because the basis was like around 10% or below. So it's a materially less attractive level for funds to put on the basis trade than it has been. And if anything, I think some guys have probably been unwinding. Like what I've heard from various people is if it goes below sub 10%, people start unwinding it. So we saw $1 billion of inflows into Bitcoin ETFs last week. And I think, in my opinion, the vast majority of that, if not even all of it, really were net increases in risk.
Mm-hmm.
And I bet you anything, all these guys like Fidelity, BlackRock, etc., ARK were like to their clients, you guys should buy this. Germany is selling. They're almost out. They're going to be done this week. This is a good dip to buy. That was the story. And I think we saw, Bitcoin move out of Germany into ETFs, I think is what I saw. And also Bitcoin move out of Chartists into boomers as well.
Yeah, but these people have like probably $1 million to their name.
Yep.
So it's not much Bitcoin. But I'm just saying, like, a lot of the people who chart, they not usually the biggest bag holders. I think people misunderstand. I think people give too much power to CT on the market, like the little micro pocket that CT is towards like what the actual market, like their position.
Yeah. See, like you think if you log into Twitter
every
day, you think CT is the be all end all, but it's a tiny part of the market. Really.
It's a lot of leverage coins and ownership too, so they don't really own it. It's notional. It's like, oh, I have $10 million worth of Ethereum. No, motherfucker, you're long 10 mil notional with your last million at 10x, or short. That is. But anyways, like that's for a big part, but that doesn't mean all of them. And there's a lot of big chads on here, but if you study that, like, and you texted me this morning, you're like, I'm glad you finally started realizing how stupid some people are. Is because I'm starting to really see these patterns. I'm like, dude, like, come on, stop flip flopping. Like stand on game or something. Try to have like some conviction and believe in it. And that I thought about this a lot lately. It's like, why do we were max bullish going into this new year, or max bullish in Q1, what, you're gonna let the summer dip like just make like lose your convictions? What happened to the cycles? What happens to those 500 days or 600? Well, I forgot the days. 300 days. So the post. What is it after the halving? What happened to all these things that we talk about all the time? And all of a sudden, what, a la poubelle, like it goes to the trash, and we forget, and that doesn't apply anymore. What happens to the fact that Nasdaq is hitting all-time highs every morning?
Yeah.
So the American economy is roaring 20s, roaring 20s.
Roaring 20s. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, dude,
Exactly.
it's hot. So so there's 885,000 Bitcoin owned by ETFs right now. So I'm excited. What did you think? Is there an expectation for the date of the ETF approval for not approval, but for the live, for it to go live?
This could be this week, I think. Could be this week is what they're saying. Like, I think they're at the final approval stage, and then they're basically good to go live. So,
Okay, I guess we'll see. But we're definitely waiting on that. And by default, I mean, I saw your tweet that you wrote about, how you think this thing's gonna play out here. You said ETF approval, ETH is gonna outperform. With, of course, it's betas. I mean, how are we looking there? Pepe, Mog. I've been looking for other stuff, but I'm just like, I can't. I just, every time there's like any ETH move, like Mog is top 100 in terms of volume, and you're just like, fuck.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously been a pretty strong coin, I think, in the last few weeks. On the down moves, it didn't really move much lower, and on the up moves, it's moving a lot higher. So, it's at almost $800 million market cap now. It's currently sitting at all-time highs. So, I think that seems to have proven itself as like maybe the number one coin on ETH right now. Pepe is doing well as well, but it's definitely lagged. It's been a bit weaker. Like Pepe and WIF seem to, for whatever reason, have had some form of selling. I think maybe larger holders are taking profits there. Yeah. Maybe you have people who hold both who are taking profits there. So I do think we saw a lot of like unwinding of this kind of like meme coin vaporware-ish type risk, which could really go to zero if you have like a bear market, but on the other hand could rally a lot more if this bull persists. So those have been good betas. I really thought Blast would be higher. It hasn't really moved that much, but
yeah,
I thought Blast could have been a good one because it's a new token. Presumably you've had a large amount of the airdrop selling that's already happened right now. But that hasn't really bounced as much as I expected it to, but still have my eye on that. Like it's down about 40-50%, I think, still from when it launched. So I think that could be interesting.
But it's not. I thought it felt bottomed out. We talked about this.
Yeah, I mean, I think it feels like it's bottomed, but it hasn't. At the same time, it hasn't like really bounced. Yeah, like ETH has moved up a lot. ETH has moved up like 15% in the last couple of 2 or 3 days, and Blast is up. I guess it's probably up a similar amount, but you'd expect it to be up more. The other L2s, they just don't seem to really be catching a bid either, so it doesn't feel like that's where the beta is. Controversial, but NFTs, Ethereum NFTs, I reckon you can see a bit of a comeback there. I'm not.
I agree with you. Actually,
it's the first time in a few years, I guess, technically speaking, that I've felt a bit more constructive on Ethereum NFTs. Like, I don't know which ones. There's obviously so many different projects, but I do think you could see some stuff do well there, in my opinion.
I put this poll out this weekend. There's 2 hours left to it. I just shared it for anyone who wants to go and vote. But I said, do you believe there will be another manic run on NFTs like in 2021? 2,200 people voted, but 53% seem to think no. Do you think it's going to be a comeback on NFT at some point this cycle? Doesn't have to be this year. Cycle ends probably late next year.
I don't think you necessarily see a manic run like you saw in 2021, but I do think you will see some stuff go to decent levels. Like I think let's use Pudgy Penguins as an example, as that's the leading NFT right now on Ethereum. Something like that I think could go back to like 30, 40, 50 ETH.
Yeah,
I know Lucas said like 200 ETH or whatever, but
I think 50 ETH for Penguins this cycle is something
insane. Yeah, which is what's that, like a 5x from where it is now?
Yep, it is.
Yeah, so it's not like a insane move in crypto meme coin standards, but it does, at 50 ETH, and let's say ETH is at like 4 or 5K or whatever, that's 250K a penguin. Like that's a lot of money. So I do think you could see some stuff coming back there in my opinion.
What if I didn't realize? I haven't looked at all in a while, man.
Yeah,
Like,
dude, Fidenza's like
you were saying for 20 ETH last week.
20 ETH, yeah.
31,
Really
yeah,
flat out.
31 right now. 31 is the floor, but hold on.
Man,
Last sale. 31
me
ETH. Okay, last sale is 31 ETH. 6 hours ago.
Me selling to Fidenzas
Bro.
to buy WIF in
Dude.
December made me one of the like
Is that like
all-time great rotations. Like that was pretty insane.
Is that one of the that's like a Mando fucking sweeping those apes that one time. The 72 apes that you guys had when he went like what $1 million on the floor then.
Yeah.
At like 10 ETH. Was it 10 ETH? The ape floor? 5 ETH. 5 ETH. I forgot.
Yeah, it was like around 3 or 4 ETH, I think it was. Yeah.
The great Mando sweep back then. That then you guys like cooked on that trade. That's very similar scenes here with your whiff trade. And you sold. I know you have a ton of whiff. Like your moon bag is ridiculous. Like your moon bag is it's like my whole portfolio. I'm kidding, but still, like you ended up cooking that. You sold at the right time. You know, motherfucker, when you started selling and you made that tweet saying, "Oh, I took some mug off, I took some whiff off, but I still hold." I was like, maybe, just maybe, Farouk, listen to Ovi. I didn't. I did not.
I didn't sell because I was bearish. I sold because I like wanted to take some profits and.
Well, you were literally about to have a child too.
Yeah, and like get a bit more cash in. It just happened to have timed out well with the market.
Oh man, that's so good.
The funniest thing is, the only reason why I sold for Denz is because I didn't have access to my other wallets, and had I had access at that time, I would have just spent ETH or whatever. But it's like, I actually sold for Denz, which then went down about 60%. So, well, WIF went up like 2,000%. So I really like
Fidenza back for the culture at some point.
Yeah, I've been watching Fidenza because I do want to buy a couple back because I actually genuinely like it as an art.
You always loved them, and I remember.
Yeah, and I want to get the prints and stuff. I just haven't got around to it, but like every time I look, they're lower. So maybe that's a sign that I need to get back in.
Yeah, I feel like last week was really the low. Like 7 days ago, we talked about on the show, a Fidenza sold for 20 ETH, and then another one for 22 back to back, 2 weeks ago and 7 days ago. And then obviously last night it seems like someone sold one for 31.8, so the new floor is 31.8. But I think there's gonna be a point where like maybe not manic, but there's gonna be another huge run. Like a lot of people like to say, I had this convo with Wiz this weekend. He was like, I don't think so. So he disagreed with me. He was like, the manic run is on meme coins this cycle versus NFTs. And he's like, you kind of feel it, you kind of sound like, he didn't mean that the bad way, right? But he's like, you sound like when the DeFi folks from the run before that were saying it's coming back, but then NFTs took over instead of DeFi, right? And then BAYC minting a Bored Ape, I'm pretty sure was the best trade of last cycle, right? If you had, the typical minted it, held it, sold every airdrop at the top, blah, 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 blah. The return was like 300,000% or something like that. So it was like the biggest return. Yeah. And so I wonder if he's right. And I'm like, well, there's never going to be another manic run. But I just feel like NFTs are just like really easily adoptable thing for masses. Meme coins are, but you kind of rally behind a contract address. Very few coins might to become culture coins. Like MOG is the greatest example of a culture coin, and it's a real one. Like everyone claims they're a culture coin. They haven't been around for 1 month yet. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think you really have to go through like 43 back-to-back weeks of red candles before becoming a culture coin. Fuck me, dude. That was crazy. So I don't know. We'll see. But if my bet was that NFTs are going to see somewhat of a big pump, and you seem to think that, you said not manic, but there's going to be a rise in NFTs. Let's say Q1, Q2, 25. There's a lot of 10Xs out there. There's a lot of 10Xs out there. So it's a strong, 9059 is putting in predictions in my WhatsApp right now. I think he's right. What do you think, Stats? Do you agree? Do you agree on the 50s Penguins prediction? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. But what do you think about crypto punks? When do you think punks start rallying again?
I think with punks, and this is true for maybe like some NFT collections, you should really not underestimate how low the perceived free float of something like this is, where I think you can have very aggressive moves in either direction. And I personally believe punks have bottomed. I think punks will trend higher from here. And I think you'll have a moment where people start to FOMO in, because it just takes like a couple of sweeps, and suddenly like the price is up a lot.
Yep.
And, this is not like these NFT collections, remember, they're not like meme coins or fungible tokens where you can just come in and buy buy a little bit of the token or buy a little bit of the coin. You have to like buy this whole NFT, right? And as soon as one gets taken off, you get more of this kind of FOMO feeling of like, damn, someone got that one. I need to get this one.
It's always like that.
Yeah, that's just like the way art and collectibles trade, not only in digital format but in physical format, and they have done for a long time, since actually for centuries probably humans have been collecting things. So I just don't think that human nature has disappeared. It's just not in vogue right now, but I do believe it will come back. And again, it's just like, I just don't, maybe it's not CryptoPunks, maybe it's not Pudgy Penguins, maybe it's a new project from new collection, maybe it's not an Ethereum. We've already had it to an extent with ordinals. We've already had that run. So maybe it comes in a different format, but I do think we'll see it back. And I don't know, part of me just thinks if you have good inflows into the ETH ETF and Ethereum is popular again, and people are looking for
good point
more exposure,
I
think you could see the NFT narrative come back.
Point. If the whole like tokenization of all things that Larry Fink is driving in terms of narrative works out, I mean, last week, Ovi, there was Goldman Sachs that's getting involved in tokenization. I don't know if you saw that that headline as well. So there's a lot of people getting involved into they're launching 3 tokenization projects. So there's a lot of the tokenization narrative that is around Ethereum that Larry Fink and core are driving or they're not driving, they're catching up on it because that's existed for long before, right? But it could really send a lot of the assets on Ethereum moving very heavily. The other runner that's going to happen on NFTs inevitable is Milady. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you see $100,000 floor in Milady at some point this cycle.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's another one of those things. It just has a very like sticky holder base, has this weird cult behind it.
Yeah. It's great.
The value of it is not predicated on a team going out there executing a roadmap. It's just like Milady, Remilio, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
I actually own a Milady. I forgot that I owned one.
Which one do you have? I have one too. I love mine.
I have like a floor Milady, but I have a Niqab Remilio.
Oh, you still have that?
Yeah.
I love that. I remember when you went full like Mog all in. It was like one morning, right? You bought just like Miladys, Niqabis, Mog, and you're like, fuck it. I'll never forget that. I mean, that is pretty well. Surely you're one of those guys that has like had the best cycle thus far. So we're gonna knock on wood for that to continue. And I'm excited to see the headlines of the ETH ETF come out this week. But anyways, I think we've gone around the blog pretty well. Ovi, how's fatherhood?
Oh, it's good. It's the best. It's a lot of fun. It's the thing that I found most in the last couple of weeks is like it's very hard to like organize and plan things. It's like, oh, everyone's like, oh, have you had like so much time on Twitter? It's like, yeah, but like you just never know when you need to be like on call to do something. Yeah, hopefully as she gets older I can get a bit more of a routine.
Yeah, look at that. Already forcing the poor little baby to watch the English football team.
She loved it. She was full on watching it.
I love that.
Like, full on watching
girl.
it.
Daddy's girl for sure. I love that. That is so cute. I'm pretty sure there's a photo of my mom and me like in front of France match, like similar to that. I love that photo. I thought it was super cute. Absolutely love it. So congratulations, Ovi. And that was a good one. Listen, we'll pick a winner real quick here. Just tell me when to stop. We'll pick just a winner here for that's following.
Stop.
All right, here. So Kamikaze. Oh, I know you listen to the show every morning. So Kamikaze here for Bernie in the back end. $100. Congratulations, you win $100. Entrepreneur. Then Web 2, Web 3, Board API Club, MAYC. Let's go. Well, you win $100. And you retweet. That's perfect. You retweet all the shows you absolutely love to see. Kamikaze, you win $100 for listening to the show. Tomorrow morning, Rollbit Loot Box Pins. We are so back. You absolutely love to see it. Ovi, thank you for coming in last minute. That was a lot of fun. I'm glad we got to talk all things ETFs, crypto, market, yada, yada. And with that, we'll see y'all tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the episode of FOMO Hour on Rug Radio. Let's go.